Hello, Professor Payne. My name is Kristen, and today we are diving into the extremely notorious article called Body Ritual Among the Nacirema by Horace Minter. Now, this assignment was my very first introduction to the very mischievous little mind of Mr. Minter. And so it was absolutely shocking, the contents of his writing. And I had to do at least a cursory Google search to find out more about this very unique community. And I found out it was not only a giant hoax and kind of satire, but it was essentially the scarlet letter for English majors, or the Pachelbel's canon in D to wedding ceremonies, is this article for anthropologists. So basically, Minter writes about American culture as this very exotic, unfamiliar society. And I was quite confident when he was speaking about some of the very strange and undiscovered group of what I thought were jungle people that were also super into consumerism for no reason whatsoever. But no, he was not talking about a mystery tribe in the jungle. The Nacirema, or as I like to refer them, the Asirimane in Pig Latin, were just the average 1956 version of an American. So I was crestfallen, but also kind of relieved. So by describing our daily normal rituals through the filter of anthropology, Miner really has us looking outside of the box and into our culture through a more critical lens. So when I first read the article, I was very shook by just the blatant absurdity of his descriptions of the rituals. So things like the holy mouth doctor or the shrine, and the various litany of rituals that were actually contrary to the desired outcome, was really bizarre. It was very foreign and it sounded to me like complete lunacy. So after I uncovered this like little satire, my whole outlook on this Nacirema people just like whoop, and I saw that Miner was actually being quite clever, using exaggeration and hyperbole to highlight how what we would consider something that's very mundane might be perceived by a different culture in such a bizarre light as I was viewing the Narcima. So we're going to zoom in on one specific communication pattern or ritual in the American culture. I've chosen the obsession with physical appearance. This is something that Miner does touch on with his descriptions of body rituals, but it's worth exploring in, I think, more detail. And here is why. I've gone over 50 years in this world and never having watched a reality TV program, and I had zero intentions of starting to watch one. And my sister kept begging me to watch one particular season of a very popular reality series called Big Brother. And this season that she was asking me to watch was 20 years old, and she thought I would really enjoy it. So I did politely decline, but I unfortunately lost a bet, and that was what we wagered. So I watched the season. I was absolutely obsessed with it and just completely blown away at so many things, but specifically how people would speak about their own bodies, let alone other people's bodies. And they just seemed to spend a significant amount of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money on grooming, exercising. Many had had obvious cosmetic procedures to enhance or maintain the look that they were going for. And it was their entire identity, at least as it was being depicted to me on this episode or on this series. No one seemed interested in questioning it. It was just expected that their body was their entire persona. So from an outsider's perspective, the preoccupation with the body felt like a ritualistic kind of devotion, and seeing themselves as almost an idol. So one of the most common communication practices surrounding this is through the phenomenon of social media. Everybody's talking about it, and they have for 20 odd years. So platforms like Instagram are flooded with people who are presenting an extremely curated version of themselves. This is not a hot take, it's very common. They're often carefully edited, and they meet very strict societal standards of beauty. And it's a perpetual cycle of self-presentation, which kind of reinforces the idea that appearance is tied directly to one's worth or to one's status as it relates in society. So this practice is deeply connected to the American culture, the worldview of individualism, and ultimately of success. So pretty is as pretty does, as my grandmother used to say. So I hope I don't have to cite that. So in American society, how you look is very often linked to how hard you work and how successful you are and how trustworthy you are. And this connection between appearance and success just reinforces the idea that you really have to control your body, often to the point of perfection and unobtainable standard, in order to be seen as being someone who has value or who might be considered worthy. So over the years, the obsession with appearance has definitely evolved. You see this most often in like the post-industrial era. So if you take a look back into the mid 20th century, the marketing of beauty products and fitness centers became just a booming industry, and the ideal of beauty started shifting in more kind of pronounced ways. So in the 1950s and the 1960s, the idea of body type was very curvy and soft and round, being very feminine. And we see that in the popular figures of like Marilyn Monroe, Rita Hayworth, Mae West, very famous, pucker up and below. So, but if you pick up a Cosmopolitan from like 1990 or from the early 2000s, you will see that there's a huge shift towards the more slender and athletic build ideal. And this was very much influenced by celebrities and models like, say, Kate Moss, Cindy Crawford, very, very beautiful ladies. So as social media emerged 25 years ago, this process has only really accelerated. And so other platforms, like previously mentioned, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, they made it a lot easier for people to kind of share their own personal rituals around their body modification, around their fitness routines, and the very popular get ready with me beauty regimens, which I still don't understand to this day. And this increased visibility of personal practices, when combined with the rise of influencers and the body positivity movement, has contributed both positive and negative aspects of itself. So we use the positive and negative to view ourselves and to view other people. So what can we make of all of these changes? Are they beneficial? Are they detrimental? Again, I say both. They're both to the American culture. And so to evaluate, I want to consider the broader implications on both individual and societal levels. So on one hand, there's this great rise in body positivity movements. They're great, but everything in moderation, including moderation. Can't remember who said that quote right now, but Oscar Wilde. So these have helped kind of change unrealistic beauty standards, and they kind of promote self-acceptance. And this in turn leads to greater mental health outcomes. And the shift has empowered many people, one would argue, to embrace diverse body types and kind of reject the more narrow definitions of what is called beauty. So the pressure that one might feel to conform to beauty ideals can be very harmful, and consistent exposure to idealized images has been proven, especially in social media, to lead to body dissatisfaction, two thumbs down, to low self-esteem, and most importantly, eating disorders. And that's very obvious among young people today, sadly, my niece in particular. So in conclusion, while we have seen very positive shifts in how Americans view their bodies and how they view beauty standards, the ongoing pressure that might be felt to conform to these more rigid ideals kind of still carries a toll. It takes a toll on us mentally, physically, emotionally, some would say spiritually. And whether this change is ultimately beneficial or detrimental will probably depend on how we as a society continue to navigate this very delicate balance that we've created between self-expression and ultimately, hopefully, self-acceptance. So that's a wrap on my very awkward but hopefully endearing video on American culture from Body Rituals of the Nacirema by Miner, and how he describes the modern day obsession with appearance and society. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts and read your review. I want to thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching.